Rendering glass inside Blender, as you may know, is extremely difficult. And so in this video, I'm going to go over how to render this specific bottle here and create this look inside of Blender, including these refractions and this background. All right, so basically it's just set up here. We have here, let's go escape, and I'll zoom in here to the scene. We have here, we have a left light. This is filling in the left side. We have a fill light here. This is filling in the right side. The fill light is just filling in some of the reflections in here. Let's turn those two off. We have a label light that's only illuminating our label, and I'll show you how to do that with light linking. And then we have a background light, and that's our background there. And we also have a distortion effect here. So I'll show you this distortion, and I'll show you how to do that in a second at the end. So let's turn off the background light. Let's turn off everything. Let's close this. We'll open up the tutorial lights, and we'll turn off the main lights and turn on the tutorial lights collection, and we'll actually work through this. So our scene looks like this already. So it already has a background. The background already has a material. And so the material is just basically a translucent BSDF plugged into the surface. And so think of this like tissue paper. And the tissue paper has a color here, which is an orange. And so if I send light through a tissue paper, it will diffuse the light. So let's split this view. We'll split it down the center. Then we'll just look at this one. We'll bring this one over to our camera view using the tilde key here. We'll go Control B. And I'm just selecting over top of this. And what that does is just, if I select it over top of my camera and then turn this into the rendered view, it doesn't render anything outside of this frame here. I'm just going to quickly set this guy. So we'll say set origin here. So you've got shortcuts to view. And then I'm going to start. So the first thing is, let's turn on my viewport overlays here. We'll go Shift A. We're just going to add in a light here. I want this light to be circular disc, and we'll focus on our background here. Let's drag this up to our background. We'll call this one background light, just for organization. And all you're going to do with the background light is send it back here. That'll go behind that diffuse layer, so the translucent BSDF plane, and you can already see it diffusing here. But before we do that, let me just tell you that if you want to learn how to use Blender for product rendering professionally, then you should grab our course, Master Product Visualization, which has over 3,000 plus students and will teach you everything you need to know from packaging to modeling to lighting and doing product animations inside of Blender. You'll learn all the tricks and tips while working with real-world examples, allowing you to build your own portfolio. So by the end of the course, you'll be able to create your own professional renders that are the next level above everyone else. So go ahead and grab the course. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment under the video. Let's jump back in. Then all I'm going to do is rotate this on the x-axis by 90. If it faces backwards, you can just press negative, and that's just on the keyboard there. Reduce the spread. Let's go down to about 20. This will also increase the brightness. So let's reduce the power of this down to about 2. And I'm also going to scale this up so that it's quite large. So then when we look at the front view, what I can do first is maybe take this back a bit. So it's back behind our scene. We can scale it down a little bit again. We can go to the front view, tilde key here, press G, and I can just bring this in to my side here, like so. And I can just scale this up nice and big. You can bring it in like this. You can reduce the spread if you would like 15. That'll give it a harsher fall off. We can go like something like this. That'll also give us a really nice highlight in the inside the glass. And that's because it's reflecting from here, bouncing through up into there. And so that's sort of one thing about glass that is hard to understand, is the light usually goes where you don't really think it would go. With a solid object, the light would just hit this edge, but with glass, it's going through and hitting the inner face of this side here. All right, so let's jump to our next one. Let's actually jump to a key light here. So this one's fairly simple. What we're going to do is just duplicate these two. Shift D, duplicate them. Let's drag this one forward. We'll grab this here and we'll duplicate this. So we've got a new background and I want this one to just be white or just a little bit into the yellows. So not as much. Then I'm going to grab this light here, shift click the plane and press Ctrl P and keep transform. That means now I can rotate the plane and work with just the plane by itself. The next thing I'm going to do is select the light. We're going to increase the spread, maybe up to like 35. And then what I'll do is also increase the power, maybe up to 4. We'll see how this goes. Then I'm just going to go to the top view after selecting the plane. We'll rotate this around and we'll just drag this over to our side here so that we get something like this. And once I've got the plane in position, then that's when I can control the light here and adjust it. So I can go to the front view. Let's change this back to a square and I can scale this light up and I can just play around with it like so. So that's just going to light that edge. All we're going to do is grab these two. We're going to drag them into our key light. We're going to rename this one Key Diffuse. Open him up and rename this light to Key _ light. Now we have this. So then we'll grab these two, Shift D to duplicate. We'll grab these across and then with them both selected again, we'll drag them up to the fill. And we'll just rename this one Fill Diffuse. I'm just pressing F2 to do that, and then we'll name this one Fill Light, like so. We'll grab this, rotate him around, and this is where I can also then play around with this light. So let's go here, let's reduce this, and I'm going to increase the spread and make it more of a fill light. We'll just bring this maybe in here. I just want to scale this one up maybe. Brightness to 4. And I'm pretty happy with that one. It's not really pointing at that. And so maybe we bring this in closer. Shift to Z to exclude the Z axis when moving. Something like that I'm pretty happy with. And so that is almost the lighting done. The last thing I do is just a label light to illuminate it a little bit. And we can go area light. We rotate this 180. Scale them down. And what you could do is just focus on the label here. And we could reduce the spread to like 10. Go back to a disk. Increase that spread 25. I want it higher, need more than 90. Just want a little bit of that edge. Filling it up. All right. Our fill light needs to go there. This is our label light. We'll select that, rename it to label light. If I could spell it correctly. Then all we're going to do is in the label light, go to the object data properties, come down, and what you can do is come to the shading and light linking, create a new light link. We'll rename this to just label light. I think it'll add a number after it, like so. And then all you're going to do is with this selected, you can just open up the main, look for your label. The only reason it's under main is because it's all parented to the main class. Look for your label, but don't click this, but click and drag it down into this collection here. And that'll add the label to it and exclude the light from anything else. So if you turn it off, you can see here that it's shining here, but not the label. And then turn it on, and then it's only illuminating the label here. So that looks quite good. You could reduce the intensity here just to get more of the label texture. So down to 2, there is a label texture in there, which you may want. I'm going to boost it up a little bit. Like so. All right, let's close some of these ones. Have a look in here. Light tutorial. Fill light needs to go in there. Not moving it. We seem to have extra fills. Seems like there's a bug, to be honest. I don't know why it's in here. It's in here as well. Anyway, bug of the latest Blender. Next thing is distortion. So all we're going to do here is go Shift A. We're going to add in a mesh here, a torus here, and I've got my settings changed. So I've just got 42 minor segments. And then we can just go in edit mode and scale this one up. Maybe about that big. Just go SZ, scale him down. And all you're going to do is just alt click these two to select the two loops, press V, that will rip them, deselect, then press L over here, that'll select linked, and because we've disconnected the two sides, because we ripped them, that'll only select that side. X, delete the vertices. Then we've got this shape, and what we can do with this shape is actually add a glass to it. So I could add the original glass or just create a new material. Pull out from this material material output. Search for glass, which is just here. And that's all you got to do. Right click, shade this smooth. We're also going to go Control 1 and come in here. That'll add a subdivision surface with one viewport level. I want only one in the render as well for faster rendering. I'm just going to move this across, move it up, move it across like so. And you could scale it. So you could go A, scale. We could scale from the origin here. So just press your period key. Go from, I believe, origin. We could try that. No. So we'll move the cursor to selected, or cursor to selected in object mode. That'll move it to the origin point. Then press your period now and go to 3D cursor. This will change the pivot point for your movement tools to the 3D cursor. And then I'll just scale that. Roll it back a bit. Then I'll go back to the median using my period. And I'm just going to come in here and create sort of this shape here. We're going to duplicate this, rotate ZZ for the local axis, so you can see that. 180. Just going to go GZ, move this guy up, and bring him into the other side, except I'm going to rotate this on the Y y for local axis, and bend it back so that it looks like this. And then I'm going to grab this all and move it forward, and grab this one, move him forward and in a little bit. And I'm actually going to scale this more flat. So S, Z, go flatter. And all I'm trying to do now is get this into the reflection. So all I'm trying to do is get a reflection out of it. That gets a reflection there, but it's not looking so good. I can't work it out. And maybe because it's white, we've got this set to white. I could add a saturation back in, and that will bring the colors back to orange, the light, and that probably looks a bit better. So then just fix your composition. Lastly, so just bring this in, bring this across, bring this down. We're going to rotate this, which I want it maybe more like this. Bring this one in a bit more. And the reason why I pulled them forward in front of the bottle is because my camera has depth of field, which will blur if it's not in the same plane as the bottle. So let's render this. And I'll show you in a second what I did also. So here we have the final render. And you'll notice there's some effects on top. So that's all done in compositing. So when you render, it outputs a render image. If you just split your views here, turn this to an image editor, then look for the render result. You can view the render result. And all I've done here, if I just press M, is I've added a glare node here. So you just add a glare node, plug the image to the image. The glare node is set to streaks. Medium, this is adding the streak here. And then you can control the threshold of the streak, which basically tells me how much light do I want to let into this. So the brightest parts, I only want the brightest parts to add the streak to. And then you can alter how smooth it will blend. You can adjust the strength here of the streaks. You can add more streaks. So you can start to do like stars. I've only got 2. You can also change the streak angle. The iterations are the quality. So just bump that up to 5 if you want good quality. And then the fade is basically you fading in and out of it. You could mask this so that it only focuses on the area you want and not over here. But then I've just got a bloom on the other side, and the bloom works the same way, except if you look at bloom basically adds this cinematic look, so where the light bleeds. So I just want that quite small. It'll be added here. So without these effects, you could just add bloom and adjust it. Without it, and with these effects, then you can just go File, save as from here, the format, PNG or JPEG, sorry, or TIFF, depending on how much color you want to leave. All right, so I'm going to give away the project file in the description, and it'll also have access to our Discord community. Post your own render in there, have a play around with your own lighting, with your own bottle here, with your own scene, play around with some different distortions, and have a look around the file. There's some other scenes in here as well that you can check out. So I'll show you this one. This is just the camera has been moved. So let's do a render for this so you can see what it looks like. Camera got moved, and this is what the render turned out to be. And actually the lighting is quite different on it. So have a look in the original lighting as well. All right. If you have any questions or any video requests, drop them down in the comments below and I'll be sure to check them out. See you in the next one.